What's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? It's been a pretty crazy year, to say the least, with COVID and everything, 2020. But hopefully there is some beacon of light in this darker times. So I'm going to try to celebrate something today. It's really tragic, everything that went on this year with people losing their lives and COVID being so rampant and destructive. But I'm just hoping we can come out of this stronger as a person and as a community, hopefully. But yeah, it can always be worse. I know it's not good to say that when people are dealing with really hard times, but some people don't have shoes, and but then some people don't have feet. So it is good to always be grateful for what you do have. But yeah, anyway, this is kind of the reason that I'm doing this. I usually, when something's important, I usually just write something out and maybe post it to social media. And I was going to do the same thing today. But honestly, this is a lot more important to me. And I've never done like a video log type of post like this before. So I think it'd be something new. And yeah, this does mean a lot to me. So this is another reason why. I'm just going to give my kind of journey and my perspective on what happened over the last few years. And I was going to do something like this the first year and the second year, but I didn't feel like I had a strong enough foundation to kind of weigh in on it. So I thought it would kind of fall flat. And now, I guess you could say that I have a bigger sample size now. So I can probably draw a little bit more on my experiences to kind of just illustrate what happened and why I think this is such a important thing to discuss. So without further ado, 3 years ago today, I did something that I didn't even know that I could do, or that I even knew was possible. And it sounds pretty crazy, but so on October 28th, 2017, I quit drinking alcohol, and I did it cold turkey. So it's 3 years ago today, or 1,095 days, which is pretty crazy to think about. But when you legitimately do something that you didn't think was possible, your whole paradigm shifts of the world. It's just whatever you thought was not possible becomes not that difficult anymore. And something as easy as just not drinking, it seems like that would be not something that hard. But for me, the way that I grew up, and I'll definitely go over that. It was definitely something that kind of shocked me. So, and it's one of undoubtedly one of the most proud moments probably that I've achieved so far. So obviously a lot of my close friends and my family, they all know that I've done this. But maybe that you guys are just checking it out. You might not know that I've quit drinking, but I wanted to kind of just share this. At first, they were probably thinking that I was just going through some phase. I probably am still going through a phase, but yeah, I mean, it was a phase at first. I wanted to kind of see how far I could actually bring, push this, and see how far I could actually go sober. I mean, it was just something I was trying, but it turned into something a lot deeper and meaningful to me. So, I mean, I was 27 when I did it, and it completely. I had to completely restructure my life. It was no joke, but the end result was 100% worth it. So, I guess the reason why I did this is that even if I can convince one person or inspire someone, just one person, I think that this would be completely worth it. So that's perfect. And I want to, first of all, preface this by saying, by no way am I being judgmental at all for for those that still drink or casually drink. Some people maybe just casually drink and watch this, and maybe it has no relevance to you, but I think that we all know someone, or maybe ourselves, could definitely learn a little bit from at least my experiences through this. So I want to say I am the number one person that can never be judgmental for something like this. I mean, I'm the first to say I completely fucked up so much. I have drank probably enough for multiple lifetimes, even if I stopped 3 years ago. So, I mean, no way, even when I'm explaining these situations to you, and I might say you or you, I'm not actually talking to you, I'm talking to probably myself in third person. So I want to just kind of make that very clear that, I would never be judgmental about anyone else's drinking. This is something very personal to me, and I need to kind of just reiterate that at the beginning. And at sometimes, I mean, probably in the last, obviously 5 or so years, I've been pretty good, but early on, I hated the person that I was when I was drinking. I would say 80% of the time I was fine, but that 20%, no, I was a complete wreck at sometimes, and I wasn't drinking every day. I would never consider myself a typical alcoholic. Meaning, I would never drink. I don't think I was an alcoholic, but I was not a typical where I would just drink every day. It was always, and this message is probably for those people that feel like they're not an alcoholic, but alcohol actually, even if you drink just once per week, just on the weekend or something, it still has an immense effect on how it controls you. And this was kind of me. I would, I wasn't physically addicted to anything, but I would definitely build up some time before I would go and unleash and just black out all night. So yeah, so basically I would. So for the most part, I was functional throughout the week, but on the weekends, I would just want to let loose. I had a clear goal in mind, and that was to get drunk. And the sad part about it is that it wasn't for example, if I went to some art exhibit, it wouldn't be to actually look at the art. It would be to go and actually just get drunk, which is kind of sad, right? Because what's the point of actually doing any of these activities if you're not going to enjoy the experience for what it actually is? And it was bad. At one point, in my early 20s, if it didn't have alcohol there, I would just be like, what? That sounds so boring. I'm not going there. Fun equaled alcohol. And that's just a really bad a way to frame the world. And when I would go drink, it wouldn't be uncommon for me to go on a Saturday night and go to the clubs or whatever and have 20 plus drinks. That was pretty normal, which is pretty crazy to think about now. But yeah, so I guess to bring it all back, I was pretty wild, and I had a very negative a way of coping with so Okay. So basically, I would go hard, and once I came to the realization, the alcohol controls your life, and I mean, it can be kind of depressing, right? Like you're like, well, what the heck? This one substance is controlling what I do every day, and not every day, but I mean, in the grand scheme of like a week or a month, it still controls your enjoyment of life. I mean, it can be depressing, right? But then it can also be, to me, it was very liberating because then I could pinpoint and know like this thing is causing a lot of problems in my life, and it can actually set you free, and you're no longer a slave to this drug. And I like to explain it in a way where it's like a virus, and like once it's in your body, it constantly needs to be fed. So maybe not every day, but every weekend or something, like you get that urge, and you always need to feed it. And I feel like once I've removed it, you can actually exterminate that virus from your body when you don't have it anymore, and you no longer crave alcohol. Like, I mean, the first few months, every time I'd see people drink and stuff, I would be like totally want to drink, and I feel like that virus was in me. But now I don't even like think about it. Like, physical cravings, absolutely no. I almost forget how it felt to be drunk. So it's like almost like a dream now, which is pretty cool. So it's a way. So it's interesting because it's really easy for us to justify why we drink, and I felt like I was justifying myself all the time. Like, for example, like drinking red wine, that's a good example, where some people are like, oh, I just drink like a glass of red wine to unwind every night. And let's be honest, we're all savages. We don't drink one glass of red wine. We drink like a whole, at least I probably would. I would drink at least a whole bottle. And like, it's funny because we think we can make rational decisions, like someone that's not drinking or sober, while we're drinking, and that's just impossible. Like, you can't just have one glass of wine and then think that, oh, I'm going to start thinking like a sober person. Like, for me, I would be already drunk, so then I'd be like, oh, let's have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it would just spiral into an all-night bender almost. And that's my drunk thinking. It's not my sober thinking. So don't think that you can like think sober while you're drunk. That just doesn't work. And the thing with like the red wine example, we think that, okay, red wine, there is studies that show that one glass of red wine per night or whatever is good for your heart. And I mean, that's a little deceiving because in one dimension, it is good for your heart, but there's like multiple different dimensions, that it's bad for. It's bad for your skin. It's bad for your organs. It's bad for your brain. I mean, there's 10 different like cancers that are directly linked to alcohol. So yes, it's good maybe in this one dimension, but it seems like it's a very easy way to justify our habits, and our habits, especially drinking, can be a very sensitive subject. For me, I'm a very sensitive person. Like, anyone that knows me would say that. And for you to bring up drinking when I used to partake, that was like a no-fly zone almost. Like, I used to get so uncomfortable and so defensive when anyone would ever bring up my drinking habits. And I mean, I'm sure people can relate. And I was making excuses all the time. Like, and I didn't want to believe that this substance had any control over my life. I thought the people that would bring this up, so people that cared about me, my friends, I mean, not all of them, a lot of them never said anything, but, the ones that did, I thought they were making my drinking out to be more of a problem than it had to be. And, I was getting like everything on track. Like I had everything in order. So I thought I was being like criticized by this one thing. And I was just like, I'm doing well in other areas. Like why does this have to be a problem? But so, okay, it's a lot. That's a lot to go on. Okay. So just to go on to that point, this is my take on it. If you're sensitive about people breaking up your drinking, there's probably a reason why it bothers you. Either it's subconscious, or you just know in the back of your head that there's probably some kind of dependency there. There's no reason for you to be dependent on a chemical to enjoy life. I know that this is crazy coming from me that used to be such an animal. But really though, you need to be really honest with yourself and understand like why would it be a problem for you to eliminate this with drinking. And for me, I had to really dig deep and figure out like what that was. Why was I scared to quit? I feel like a lot of people are like scared to quit. Like why? It's because maybe 95% or 90, a lot of people drink. So maybe their family, their friends, like I can't stop. Like all my friends drink, all my family drink, like all my coworkers drink, and they feel like they'd be like missing out on something in their life. And I mean, I was scared too. I mean, I thought my friends would stop like hanging out with me. I thought they, would think I'm weird. And I'll be like completely, transparent and frank. Some of those party friends did stop hanging out with me. And I'm not judging at all. And, they're doing their thing and I'm doing my thing and made my decisions and stuff. But sometimes they're partying and stuff, and for me to be sober and hang out with them sometimes, it almost like it shines a mirror on yourself. If you're like when I used to drink and I'd see someone sober, like it would make me a little like self-conscious, because then it kind of shined a mirror back on me and be like, what am I doing wrong? And sometimes it would be uncomfortable. So I think that could be it as well. But yeah. And there's obviously people that would try to force me to drink, which is pretty crazy. I maybe have done this before when I was younger, but all I'm gonna say is if people don't want to drink, don't force them to drink. But they might be too drunk to realize. So, but anyone that cares about you though, your true friends are going to want the best for you. Your true friends, your family, they will not tempt you. They will not make you feel ostracized, and they will support you unconditionally. People that really do care about you, they will be happy for you that you've made this decision. And it's all just about being bold and facing an issue head on. And if you think you have a problem with it, like you cannot ignore it. Just lay it all on the table, and being brutally honest with yourself is so important, especially when it comes to drinking. It was so helpful. Just rip the Band-Aid off. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can still have a crazy amount of fun with your friends that drink. It's actually way better. When I go and hang out with my friends, like I remember everything, I'm not hungover, like you're completely conscious. I believe that, it just unlocks like a whole new side of you. So don't be afraid to take the step if you ever want to do that. I feel like it's all right. And talking about being conscious, like, okay, people say that your subconscious thoughts come out when you're drunk. I don't believe that. Like when I would black out and my brain was basically firing off random signals. Like I could barely string two thoughts together sometimes. And to say that that was my inner subconscious coming out, like I just think that you're pretty much just like just talking like nonsense. And so I would never do the things that I would do drunk, sober. Like there's this not even in my like brain realm I would ever do that. I would never do the things that I did drunk sober. I would never say or do, or I used to do some crazy shit. There's absolutely no way I would ever do that. It's just in my right mind. So it can be, and then this is to say, don't say that this is an excuse for anything that you do. All I'm saying is that that personality that's inside of you, that is just not who you are when you're drunk. I just don't believe that. And I think there's people that their personalities get exacerbated by alcohol. Like if you're really aggressive and you're drinking, like obviously it's going to make that worse. But, some of the character, the way that your character is, I just really think that it really alters and really distorts who you are. And I that's a huge reason why I quit. Like I don't want me to be perceived as this alter ego. Yeah, but if you have any, like drinking just makes your problems way worse. If you have a problem in your life and you're still drinking, and it just gets infinitely more complicated. And not only is the problem still there, it's just 10 times what it used to be. It's like you're throwing gasoline on it. So that was a huge thing. Like now that I'm sober, I feel like I can identify a problem, and not only does it do I identify it, I actually focus on it and get rid of it as well. So it doesn't get worse. So it's a huge one. Hopefully I'm not bouncing around too much. I'm just trying to get some of my thoughts out here. So I want to say to my Canadian peoples, I love you guys. I have a lot of love for you guys. I'm Canadian, so I grew up most of my life there. So I just want to say though, I mean, obviously this applies to my American friends as well, of course. But it's just not on the same level. You bastards go in deep. You guys, we love alcohol. I mean, it's so intertwined in our culture. And I know I have American friends that are like, oh, I can drink as much as your Canadian friends. No, it's not on the same level. Not even close. Growing up there, I mean, we started super young, and it's just, it's deeply intertwined in our culture. And, taking a step back, living in the U.S., I mean, I've lived here for over 10 years now. Like I can really see it now, and how prevalent it is in just everything that we do. It was actually really funny. Like when I first moved here, I was like super young. I was a teenager, and we were at a party, and I seen some of the people that were at that party the next day. And I was like, yo, what's up? I was like, you were so fucked up. And they looked at me like, what? No, I wasn't. And I was so confused. I thought it was a compliment. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was so young, and like, we used to think that, getting trashed like that and stuff like was like a good thing. But yeah. I was a poster boy for that shit. Like I'm like Irish, Canadian. It's literally my DNA. So I was a wild man. And I guess all I want to say is that is to be careful, like to be on a more of a serious note. Like alcohol is extremely dangerous, and like it shouldn't be taken lightly. I know it's glorified and like I said in our culture, but like this substance can really destroy your life. And like I wouldn't say that it like destroyed my, like early on. It was taking me down like a darker road for sure. And I'm so glad that I hit the eject button when I did, honestly. Like I was 27, and I think that's pretty decent age to jump ship. I mean, I don't want to get too crazy into there's like the science behind it, but to explain it to some people that might have an issue with it. Okay, so there's about 10% of people, there's a thing called, there's a gene in it. What it does is it enhances your endogenous opiate response. And what endogenous means is that it's within the body, and opiate response, like an opiate, it's like a painkiller basically, right? So what happens is as you get more drunk, it releases neurotransmitters in your brain, probably serotonin and dopamine, which make you feel really good. And it like relaxes your body. It's like a natural painkiller basically. And it makes you feel kind of euphoric. And what it does is it makes you more energized instead of lethargic. And we all know that most people that drink alcohol, they get like, more lethargic when they're drinking. But for the people that have this gene, they get more energy, and they're more like, hyper, and like they want to keep going. And as you stop drinking, what happens is that opiate response stops, so that what happens is that you want to feel that again. So you just keep drinking, and then it tops up again. And I can guarantee you that I definitely had this, because what you can do is if you take a shot or two or whatever, and then you test your resting heart rate, if it goes up by like 5 to 10 within that couple minutes, you probably have this gene. And you can make a little bit more of a unscientific approach. You can just see if you are the last person at the bar, the last person to go to bed. If you're up at 6 a.m. still drinking the next day, and you do like, a 2-day bender or whatever, which I used to stay up till 6 or even earlier all the time when I was raging. So you're probably very susceptible to this. And this is what is crazy. Almost all alcoholics have this gene. So it's, I'm just trying to put out the kind of the facts and how this drug can really, be dangerous. Okay, this is the funniest. Like, I used to think that I would get superpowers from alcohol. Like, I thought I was funnier. I thought I was more outgoing. Okay, this is the funniest part. I actually thought I was smarter too. Like, seriously. I thought when I was drinking, like, I was like, dude, I have all these like ideas and shit. No, I was dumb as fuck. No, I really was not that smart. And it gives you the illusion that you're all these of these things. But if you had like a camera pointing at you and someone told you and showed you, like, it would just be completely the opposite. And you're always going to be the sharpest and the most creative when you're sober. And all you're doing is, throughout the years, you're just developing coping mechanisms to deal with like stressful and uncomfortable situations. So say if like tomorrow you're like, okay, I'm gonna quit drinking and I'm gonna go be social. You're probably gonna eat shit at first, because you're not gonna have those tools that you develop over time when you're sober. So when you're sober and you're meeting people and you're like in a social situation, you're gonna be using tools that you've learned over the years. But if you just go in there like hot without, you're going to have years of experience with alcohol, like helping you out, So just know that that's going to take a while, and it's going to be very uncomfortable and kind of painful at first, but there is growing pains. And once you get to a level where you feel comfortable, I feel like now I'm way beyond what I could, how I could interact with people when I was drunk. So now that I'm sober, I feel completely fine. Even before like I quit drinking, I used to be very shy as a kid, and I really worked on that even in high school. So in high school, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be that shy kid anymore. And I would put myself in these stupid ass situations and like just say the stupidest things, and I would stutter and I would, lose my train of thought all the time. But by doing that all the time and always putting myself in those situations, you really start to develop your own method and own way of navigating conversations, and you become a more sophisticated and developed like communicator because of it. And I really believe that this is the same with alcohol. You don't need alcohol. You don't need any of this substances to be the best person that you can be. And I truly do believe that now after 3 years. The best way I can describe it, honestly, is that everything just feels exciting again. When you remember when you were a kid and you just like woke up and you were like, yeah, let's go to the park, just for no reason. I kind of feel that way now. I feel like, honestly, these like random things that, I would like to do, they're just more fun. Like I'm like into different, I'm just into different music now. I really enjoy it. I'm into writing now. I've never been really into writing, and now I'm really into it. You just get into these, you need to develop these hobbies now. And I can get a little bit more into that as well. But yeah, it's before it used to always be about the celebration, right? Like it used to be like I would have an achievement and it wouldn't even be about the achievement. It'd be like, oh, let's go get drunk afterwards. And of course, being like celebrating is part of an achievement. Say if you graduated, and you celebrate afterwards. But it shouldn't be to go get drunk. Like that should not be the reason. It should be to actually talk to your friends, and it should be for the actual event and not just for the party. And I think people get like a little confused about that, because I feel like they think that alcohol is what's making it fun, but really when you hang out with your friends, if you go out with them, if you go to a wedding with them, like there is alcohol at those events, but just know that you are having fun. Like you're laughing, you're having a good time with them, and it might not even be because of the alcohol. Like you're still going to have a fun time. And when I remove the alcohol and I go to these events, like it's still like one of some of the most enjoyable times is to be with my friends and be with my family, and I'm laughing my ass off just as much as I feel I was drinking. So don't be confused on that alcohol is necessarily giving you the good time, and I would argue that it is not. So and like when some people like they ask me like, oh, you don't drink anymore? Like they're like, oh, what happened? They think it's like some like catastrophic event that triggered me, but no, it wasn't. That's some ways, some things in my life maybe I approach it that way, but not with drinking. It was definitely more gradual separation. So what I was doing was in 2017 in October, I was trying to get into grad school. So I legit couldn't be hungover. I needed to be 100% that whole year. I was doing a lot then. I was working almost full time. I was going to school full time. I was volunteering at the hospital. I was doing a shitload of things. And that's actually a great way if you wanted to stop drinking. I keep saying this, if you want to, like, this is for your advice or in the future or for someone else. And what you need to do is you need to replace alcohol with something that is worth more to you than alcohol is worth to you. So for me, it was getting into grad school. I wanted it so bad. I wanted to be an occupational therapist. And I'm like, alcohol is only, when I was hungover, I couldn't perform the way I would want to. And, I had to do like the GRE. I had to do all my prereqs. I had to do a lot of stuff. And this goal of mine was way high. Like it was worth way more than alcohol is worth to me. So, you can use it in the same way. Like if you want to quit alcohol, and you want to put like a job or trying to get into a school, or maybe some of your relationships, like to improve your relationships, meeting a quality person, that's a good way. Like when I was drunk all the time and trying to meet people, like, I would meet people, but, I felt like I met my wife, when I was trying to get sober. I wasn't sober at that time, but, I was definitely looking in that direction. So that's just an example. It's actually amazing. Working out. Like if you can actually quit drinking, just because why I'm saying this is because if you quit drinking and you have nothing that's greater than that, you're just gonna go back. I mean, it might not be in a week, it might not be in a month, but eventually you're going to probably, not to be pessimistic, but you're probably gonna, start drinking a little bit again. And once you start drinking a little bit, I mean, you might as well just open the floodgates. And I know that can happen. So, but working out, that is an amazing thing to combine it with. If you're not into working out, and it's such an amazing hobby because it has transformed my life big time. And people think it's vain. Some people think that working out is like, oh, it's narcissistic or whatnot. But I honestly think that I've met the most intelligent, caring, self-actualized people, and they work out like a lot. All it is that do not think that you are above your body, and you do not hold your intellect higher than your body. Like they go hand in hand. Like you can't have your body without your brain, and you can't have your brain without your body. Like they go together perfectly. And in my life, if I'm like working too hard, if I'm like studying too much, I make sure that I'm working out enough, and vice versa. Like if I'm working out too much and I'm like, oh dude, I need to start reading some books, I make sure that that's equal. But that is an amazing avenue to explore if you have not. But yeah, those are some examples. And it's all about like not being dependent on anything. I actually quit drinking coffee. I have absolutely no coffee, no caffeine in the last over a year now. And it's for the same reason as not being attached to this one thing. So for example, like alcohol or caffeine, like I just don't want to, I only want food and I want sleep to be the only things that modulate my energy levels. And right now my energy levels have been like amazing after the last like year or so. And the first like few months was absolutely horrid. Like it was so hard to kick the caffeine thing. But now I really feel really good, and like I do not have those crazy swings. So I'm just trying to incorporate the same type of thought process to many different aspects of my life. My friends joke with me now that I'm like Mormon, but it's making life a lot richer, to be honest. And this whole thing like started. You're probably wondering like, how did this even start? Like I was going to Cambodia in 2017 that winter. And, I stopped in October. And originally it started because I was busy and I didn't want to be hungover. That was one of the big things as well. Dude, when I was hungover, I would be drinking on Saturday and I'd be hungover until like Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not even kidding with you. It was like freaking brutal. So I'm not sure if it's probably because of how much I was drinking, but... And remember, I wasn't drinking every day. I was drinking like maybe once on the weekend, maybe twice sometimes. But sometimes I would go like multiple weeks without drinking. So remember that this really applies to people that feel like, it's not overtaking their life, but they could use this knowledge to maybe go a different route, but yeah, so to go back to my story with Cambodia, I was like, oh, I can't wait to go like finish my exams, because I was doing undergrad at the time. I was like doing finals, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to finish up so I can go to Cambodia and like have like, I think they had $1 pitchers or $1.50 pitchers, and I was like so excited. And it like, I don't know if I've ever had an epiphany like that before, but hopefully I have another one. But I essentially, I was like, oh my God, like I do not even care about going to Angkor Wat or all of these temples, or to actually enjoy the food or the culture. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about like getting like messed up, and it was like, oh, like I said before, it wasn't about. It wasn't even about experiencing those things. It was only about getting drunk, and it was really honestly sad. And I was just like, no, like this is not how I'm gonna live my life, and this is not what I'm gonna be looking forward to when I complete and be like finish and achieve things, or go on these trips and stuff. Like this, it's not how I want to, remember, or lack of remembering, because usually you don't, right? So yeah, it was just a huge paradigm shift, and I really looked at the world in a different way. And I guess with this whole thing, at the end of the day, I'm just really grateful for everything in my life right now. Not a day goes by and I don't realize what I have. I feel like I'm very grateful, and I feel like I owe a lot to my sobriety, and to my beautiful wife, Niraman. She's been amazing. And like originally when I first quit, like a lot of people used to think that like, oh, it's because of her and stuff. And of course I would want to do it, to enhance both of our lives. But honestly, like I used to look at myself a lot when I was single, about just who I was, and if I messed up, it was only on me. But after being with her and kind of seeing how my behavior would affect the relationship, like it kind of put a mirror on like who I really was. And I never had that before. No one really told me as straight up as she would. And it made me really sad to see how it would affect her and stuff. And she's never told me not to drink. She's never told me to quit. I made this decision myself, and it's because like I really wanted to change for her, for my family, for my friends. Like it was a huge decision that affected me positively in many aspects. But yeah, to go back on being grateful. I mean, I'm from like Prince Edward Island. I'm from Canada. I'm from a very rural area. I get to live in California. It's pretty amazing, honestly. Luckily, I am American. This is just to add a few more things. I mean, if you want to look at the benefits, right? The benefits speak for themselves. I'm halfway done with my doctorate program. You would be shocked about how quickly your life can change as well. Like you might be like, oh, I'm in a bad space right now. Like, oh, that just seems so unachievable. But just know, like, you can change your life quicker than you think you can. Like 4 years ago, I was in community college, and from then till now, it's like, I mean, night and day. I was still very lost. I was definitely on the right trajectory, and like I was still drinking actually in my undergrad, but even when I transferred to university. But I was definitely on the right trajectory. But who knows like what would have happened if I didn't quit drinking? Like, I mean, I can't say that I would be in the same position, right? We just don't know where that fork would bifurcate to. So just know though, like if you do want to make this change, like you need to make some serious lifestyle changes. Like you like a lot will change in your life. And are you willing to be disciplined? Are you willing to make the sacrifices? And when people ask you to drink and stuff like that, like, are you willing to say no to them? Are you willing to feel a little bit, more alone than you would normally? I would say that those are all fleeting and temporary, and that's the FOMO that's kicking in. But honestly, it's only going to increase your life and the quality of your life. And these are the questions that you have to ask. And to be motivated, you can be motivated in the first week or two, but you need to be disciplined. And like David Goggins is a great guy to listen to if you ever check him out. But motivation is fleeting. You need to be disciplined. Discipline means that you'll do it no matter how you feel. If you feel like dog shit in the morning, you're still going to get up. You're still going to do like that workout. You're still going to hit the books. You're still going to, you're still going to do what you said you were going to do. And you're not going to make excuses, and you're not going to give into your feelings at that time. And rest assured, I have to check myself in all the time. Like, I can never be complacent about my sobriety. I know that. I think about it a lot. And I think that, some people say like, oh, I'm going to have a little drink here and a drink there. And it's like, no. I see my friends having fun, and of course it looks like a good time. But that's a temptation that I will never give into, because I understand that I built something that was only achieved through being sober. So don't think that like you can have something, you can build something, and then just throw it back in there and everything will be fine. I'm sure that it will crash faster than you can blink. So I know that, and I know that I will never let that happen again. Like, I felt the depths. I felt very, in early, I think around 2010, I was like partying like crazy. Around 2013, like, I was in a very dark place, like, trying to get my life together. And I'm so glad that I had those times. I think they're very important for us to feel like, to get a taste of that, at least when you're a little younger. I don't want to be, in my 50s feeling that for the first time. Because you know what? It gives me the motivation to never allow myself to get back to that place again. And I can say with 100% certainty, I will never drink again, for sure. Okay, that was a long rant. I'm not sure if most people even are still watching, but okay. If you're watching this and you want to improve your life, and you don't know like what it is, even by a little bit, if you're thinking like, oh, I could do something different, but I don't really know what it is, I would seriously consider cutting out alcohol. I think that it would change your life in ways that you have no idea. And, like I said before, it can set you free. So this is long-winded, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it at least. This is kind of my perspective and just a little bit of my thoughts on the whole thing. But 3 years sober, it's just the beginning. Have a good one, guys.